Been involved in tennis at the highest level for decades. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, no, I haven't, is the answer to your question. And when I heard the news yesterday, coming back from my holiday weekend with my family, that Osaka had withdrawn, it was like a punch to the gut. You know, this is exactly what I didn't want to see happen, that it didn't have to come to this. I think Naomi's statement she released yesterday was a lot better, was a lot clearer about what her issues were. And moving forward, how to put mental health at the forefront of a conversation, which we're now having, which is, I think, great news. But I thought that the statement from the Roland Garros, from the French Federation, and the other three majors was totally misguided. I mean, the fact that they threatened her with disqualification right out of the gate in their first public statement was, to me, way over the top. And I think part of the reason that she ultimately withdrew. Now, obviously, they had to make a statement saying, listen, part of being a pro tennis player, as we all know, is speaking to the press, having your responsibilities to talk to the public. But by threatening her right away in a written statement, I thought that went way too far.
Have tennis bosses come off looking like the bad guys?
Well, they haven't come off looking well. There's no doubt about that. Look, they could have continued to fine her with each match, and I believe she would have continued because she accepted that when she made her first statement just about a week ago that she wasn't going to do the press. She was willing to accept the fine. She hoped that it went to help mental health awareness. And look, we're all happy that she's brought this to the forefront. She's a leader. She's not afraid to put herself out there. We saw that last summer in the way she handled the Black Lives Matter situation and the issue there, and speaking out on behalf of tennis and the players. So she's a leader. She's taking that ball and she's running with it. In this case, I think initially in her statement, it was a little unclear exactly the connection between mental health issue, which are serious, and the issue of, I just don't want to talk to the press because I don't like clay, or I don't want to be asked, ridiculous questions. But for the most part, the questions you get asked in that room are pretty good, and they're pretty insightful, and they give insight into the player, into the event. And that's important for the event and for fans. And I think in a lot of instances, important for the players. So I think that's where Naomi was a little bit misguided, and doing it right before the tournament was a mistake, in my opinion. But the tournament apparently reached out to her and her representation, and they didn't respond back, which was a big miss by her representation. I think they're as much at fault as anyone in this whole situation.
Patrick, Serena Williams is someone that certainly had to learn to love those news conferences. She never really has, but she can certainly handle them well now. If Naomi Osaka can't handle them at Roland Garros, how can she handle them at Wimbledon, at Flushing Meadows? There must be a huge question mark over her entire tennis future now.
Well, clearly she's going to have to get some help, and I believe the tennis authorities should be able to help her, and I think they have reached out and said they would like to help her. Nobody knows better than Serena how to handle, difficult situations, and look how well spoken she is now at her age, and she's really a spokesperson for people in general and for tennis. Now, for Naomi, the thing that was illuminating to me, I do my own podcast called Holding Court. I'm not just promoting that, but I spoke to Dr. Jeffrey Lieberman, who actually I play tennis with, who's a professor of psychiatry. He's a head of psychiatry at Columbia. And he really illuminated for me and for my listeners that this is a lot more than just saying, hey, Osaka, you're a professional athlete, you make a lot of money, shut up and play, or, just play tennis. You should be happy you make all this money. He rightly pointed out and really showed me, listen, there's a lot of athletes that have, Marshawn Lynch in football, Kevin Love in basketball, different athletes that have, and other players that aren't as famous, by the way, a few tennis players that I know that have had mental health issues, that have reached out and maybe not gotten the help they were asking for or needed. And I think in this case, Osaka being such a big-time player, just because the fact that she's a Grand Slam winner, okay? I've had people say this to me as well on social media. Oh, how could she have mental health problems? She's out there playing in front of 20,000 people. She's won 3 majors. Well, guess what? She could have mental health issues even playing at that high a level, whether you're an athlete, a basketball player, or you're a high-level, corporate leader. You could have issues and still be, quote unquote, successful. So I think that really rang true for me, is pay attention. Okay. We need to pay attention to what she's saying. Just because she's a great tennis player doesn't mean she can't have issues that, need to be addressed. and that she needs help with. And the tennis world should try to help her as much as possible, whether she's Naomi Osaka or someone who's ranked 82 in the world.